And so we taught large companies that like you can manage remote engineering resources, and we'll show you how. I mean, we're a remote first company. We've never had an office. COVID made remote the new normal, and that's why we grew so fast. We were the remote first to engineering talent platform. And then the economy flipped when rates went up 5% in 9 months. It sucks to be a talent marketplace when nobody's hired. And so that's when we sort of pivoted into building all these AI tools, which culminated in Braintrust AIR.
Welcome to the HRIS Careers Podcast with your host, Troy Wallace, a podcast for human resources information systems professionals to help you elevate your HRIS career. We always say no one gets into HRIS on purpose, but it sure is interesting to find out how they did. We interview your HRIS peers to find out how they got tricked into the industry and what lessons and tools they use to progress their careers along the way. We discuss industry trends, AI, and even talk candidly about all the most popular HRIS platforms. Just think of it as the closest bar just outside the entrance of your favorite HR technology conference. Now you get it. Welcome in. Welcome to the HRIS Careers Podcast, recording live as usual from the beautiful studios in downtown Omaha, Nebraska. Here's a question. What if you could cut your hiring process from 6 weeks to, say, just 48 hours? And, no, it's all the AI tools. It's not necessarily a fantasy. It's happening now with AI. So today's guest is building the tool that is changing the rules for recruiting. So if you want to improve your recruiting process, or actually you want to find your next opportunity and make maybe a little extra money on the side, you will definitely want to listen to all of this episode. So I am talking with our guest, Adam Jackson. He's the co-founder of Braintrust, which is a Web3 powered talent marketplace that's kind of changing how companies hire and how talent gets noticed. How do you go from co-founding a company with Dr. Phil to launching a Web3 powered hiring platform? Adam's background is wild, and he's here talking about disrupting recruiting and Braintrust. So Adam's the real deal entrepreneur, concentrated on what they call two-sided marketplaces, which, by the way, is what the HRISCareers.com job board is. We're trying to find employers that want to post their jobs and find talent, people that are HRIS practitioners that are looking for jobs. He's kind of mastered these two-sided marketplaces. Prior to founding Braintrust, Adam co-founded Doctor on Demand. That's the one he did with Dr. Phil. Other notable ventures include DriverSide, which is a marketplace that connects car owners with mechanics. It was acquired by Advanced Auto Parts back in September of 2011. Market Square, the first online local shopping destination on the internet, which was acquired by Intuit in September of 2006. He's just involved in a lot of things, done a lot of really cool things. His people reached out and wanted to be on the show. We were very fortunate to have him. He has been an angel investor in Superhuman, Filecoin, Binance, BlockFi, Automatic, Apero Health, Zenefits, and more. So Braintrust is what they call the first user-controlled talent network. So there's opportunities for actual talent to have some control in there, make a little money on the side. And it also is providing enterprises with highly skilled technical and design talent. And you can make some money just by joining the talent network, which is pretty cool. I have a link in the description. If you want to hit that, that will support the show, and certainly appreciate that. And it'll take you to a page that will just, if you are hiring talent, if you want to join the talent network, it'll give you a couple options there. All right, so stick around. We talk tech startups, HR trends, and I'm a little bit jealous. He went to Vanderbilt and he shares some Nashville bar recommendations. So let's get into it. Enjoy this conversation with Adam Jackson of Braintrust. Adam Jackson, welcome to the HRIS Careers Podcast. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to start out with something real easy. So your folks reached out, and I was like, that man is... he's got this product called Braintrust. That's interesting. And I find out, I'm a member. Profile on your software. It's like, all right, this is definitely going to be a good fit, because we talk a lot about developing careers, getting out on LinkedIn, other portals that can help people get jobs. But I want to take you back on your resume a little bit. I'm a huge fan of Nashville, Tennessee. And I see that you went to school at Vanderbilt. What was the decision process there? How did you make it to Vanderbilt?
I wish I had like a long, intricate story about how I ended up there. The short answer is I probably wasn't smart enough to get into MIT or Stanford. I didn't even apply. And I really wanted to go somewhere where I knew I'd have fun and at least have a shot at a good education. So it came down to Duke and Vanderbilt, and I got a better scholarship at Vanderbilt. So that's how I ended up there. And it was a wonderful 4 years. I loved it.
So I don't want to pay for any of my children to go there. So maybe they can get a scholarship. Or
I did a partial scholarship, but I was like 200,000 in debt and running at like 12-13% interest. And graduated in 2002 when we were well into a recession. So, you know, I like to say these universities they're really just large financial institutions, hedge funds that, you know, have an educational wing on the side, but it's all about the endowment for these guys.
Yes, the Scott Galloway Prof G take on that.
Right. Well, and Galloway's on the payroll, so it's funny that he.
True. I had a client in that area, and I used to walk between Vanderbilt and Belmont, those campuses. I'm just like, these kids, they don't even know what they've stepped into. Like, it's so beautiful.
You leave there and you go to a Four Seasons and you're uncomfortable.
So there's a lot of connected points. Like I said, we talk a lot of things, HR technology, obviously HRIS careers. Part of our mission is to help our members and our listeners develop their own HRIS careers. And so you connect in a couple of ways. So you've had a pretty deep experience, and you're there in the Bay Area in the heart of technology. I know you've developed the platform that I joined, Braintrust. Can you give us the 30,000-foot view of, you know, what was your career journey to get to that point of founding Braintrust?
Sure, yeah. So, you know, I did computer science in college, started off as a programmer, moved to the Bay Area, kind of switched to, you know, scrappy entrepreneur right away. I've been building two-sided internet-enabled marketplaces basically my whole career, building them, investing in them. So my first one was a local commerce, local e-commerce business where you type what you're looking for with a local modifier. So like bike helmet in Berkeley, we'd show you all the local shops that have that inventory. We're actually the first ones to do that. This is back in 2004. And
right.
And so we kind of discovered local SEO. We built that into a big kind of local shopping online enabled marketplace and sold it to Intuit, where I worked as a product manager for about a year. Intuit's just a great company as a young person to cut your chops and learn product development. Then I left there and started my second company, DriverSide, which is an online marketplace that connected car owners with mechanics. And we would figure out which mechanics had availability in their service bays that day, and then do kind of a real-time matching to get people who need an oil change or brakes or whatever, get them into a local mechanic. And we grew that into a national marketplace, and we're acquired by Advance Auto Parts, which is a big auto parts reseller, or retailer. Spent a year and a half or so there. And then in 2012, started Doctor on Demand, which is a very large national video telemedicine service for behavioral health care as well as urgent care style things. Again, connecting patients and doctors in real time for video chats, get a prescription if you need it for something simple, antibiotics or whatever. I started that business with Dr. Phil from TV. We used his channel to help grow the patient base. And so again, you know, the theme here, two-sided marketplace, excuse me, and merged Doctor on Demand with another healthcare company, and it's now called Included Health, which is a pretty large business, hopefully go public here in the next year. And then I got into blockchain technology and AI sort of at the same time, and started working on Braintrust in 2018, which is a two-sided marketplace that connects, you know, originally it was just technical talent. So programmers, designers, developers with clients that need them on a contract or full-time basis. As we grew that, it grew really fast in 2019, 2021. If you remember, like back then it was like really hard to find good technical, you know, enterprise grade technical talent. So we grew really quickly. And then, you know, sort of the enterprise recession starts to set in 22, 23, rates spike up, people stop hiring. And so we saw the marketplace business sort of flatline. And so we said, well, look, we're a software company at the end of the day. We start building AI tools to help automate and streamline a lot of the components of the marketplace. So talent screening, recruiting, skill assessment, matching. We built really cool AI tools for all that. And then all those tools kind of culminated into this package we now call Braintrust AIR, AI Recruiter. So I'll tell you just 10 seconds how that works really quick. You type a couple words in on Braintrust.com. It'll write a custom job description for you, post that to Braintrust, but also LinkedIn and Indeed and wherever else. And then you get, just hundreds, sometimes over 1,000 applicants coming in for the role. And so AIR will analyze every applicant and decide, of these 1,000 applicants, who looks like they could be qualified and should get a first interview. So let's say you narrow the list of 1,000 down to 100, and then AIR will actually reach out to all 100 potentially qualified folks and conduct a 20 to 45 minute live video interview, or it could be over the phone, just like we're talking right now. And it's built on LLM technology. So it's asking pretty detailed questions, follow-up questions, and it's building a scorecard during the interview. And then it will conduct all those interviews and then the next day hand the hiring manager back, say the best 5 or best 8. So you post the job Monday morning, and by, Tuesday afternoon, you've got, thousands of applicants, but 5 or 6 that look really qualified that have already been live screened that you can now pick up and just talk to those 5 folks. So it really crushes the hiring process from 6 weeks down to, a day or 2. And we show this to our existing Braintrust clients. They're like, this is great. We'll use this for our tech people, but like, what about non-tech? Can we use it for, accountants and compliance professionals and, substitute teachers or warehouse workers or Uber drivers or nurses? And so we expanded the AI technology to be able to interview screen for almost any role. And that's, kind of one of our fast growing businesses now is Braintrust AIR.
Okay. I can't help myself because I just got out of applicant tracking system design meetings. And so my head's in that space. And so I'm going to go deeper in the weeds than I thought I would. So obviously these little bit of training, right? So somebody comes in, they've got their job. They probably have a job description, but then what I find is very important is everybody wants to have more customized kind of pre-screening questions. Yeah. There's a similar process where you would say, okay, well, give us your job description and give us your 7 to 10 pre-screening questions, and then let us build, for lack of a better term, the screening model to go send out to all these folks to start doing the screening.
That's exactly what we do. We've actually pre-built all of that stuff. So we will infer the 5, 6, 7 questions based on the job description and what we know about your company. You can go in and edit them before the interviews go out, anything you want. But we have found that just because we have 6 years of training data doing this, right? So we've been able to build models and infrastructure on top of the base LLMs that do a really good job of figuring out which questions are the right ones and then how to grade the responses in real time.
So could you even conceive of this when you were a computer science major at Vanderbilt? I mean, was this even something theoretically that they talked about?
Absolutely not. I mean, the term machine learning wasn't even a thing when I was in college. It was about, Web 2 hadn't even happened when I was in college. So that's why I sort of discourage people from bothering with computer science degrees, or really, I mean, unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, any degrees at this point. The technology changes so quickly, and you can learn everything self-taught for free on the internet if you're motivated enough.
Right. But there is still an art or a science of figuring out what do the models need to know, and I will give you an example, and maybe you can come up with a solution for this. Is my small consulting business is cornered in a very legacy applicant tracking system. And I keep thinking, I know it's going away, so I don't want to invest a lot of time or money, but man, if we could build some sort of model that could understand how the data is structured, and I'll just say the word Oracle Taleo, and then wash upon a LLM model that would help people sift through all of this data. But there's got to be some people that know about vectors and different things. So there still has to be some somebody out there making some money who understands this AI at a deeper level.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you're describing is the fundamental technology that we've built with Braintrust AIR is let's take, you know, build on top of the LLM technology, which understands what a role is, what skills are, how to converse. So we built the conversational layer on top of it. And then we built a system that, can ingest a bunch of resumes from your ATS that, you qualify them as like, hey, these were good hires. We hired these folks, they worked out. And then you can hand us a job description and a bunch of successful resumes. And then we instantly train to be like the world's best recruiter for that role for your company.
Okay. So I wasn't going to go this deep into product, but it's where we're going. It's very interesting to me. So let's talk about somebody who's a listener out there, and they are HRIS analyst. They've done 3 to 5 years. They're kind of ready to move up to an HRIS manager, director. How would you want them to come into your ecosystem, to Braintrust, as somebody who's job seeking?
Yes. So you're saying like as an applicant trying to get a job?
Yeah. Are they coming and just looking at job listings in your portfolio? Do you have all of your clients do you have a general job board that's out there? I know I am a member, and I've gone out there and there are jobs posted out there already. So is it just you go in, create your profile and start looking for jobs? Is it more important to maybe people do more discovery out there? Maybe you're not going to have as much luck finding the job already posted, but there's people and employers out there looking through the database for matches.
Yeah, all the above. So my advice to job seekers would be really spend some time upskilling on AI. And this doesn't mean that I don't mean go become a programmer. There's no reason to do that. But like, say you're applying for, any role, a non-technical role at a company, really like use AI to really understand what that company, where they are in their history, where they're going. And then think about the roles and responsibilities of the job you're applying for and how you could use AI to make yourself more effective for the company. And that's, I think, where you're going to stand out. Right? Like we're in this weird point in history where everyone's talking about AI, big buzzword, but like a lot of companies are a little confused on like, how should they be implementing it? Right? Like what are we implementing exactly? And so it's a very like the rate of progress here. I mean, a year ago, a lot of the stuff we're using commonplace today didn't exist. And the same will be true a year from now. And so just really understanding as an applicant, like if I'm going to go into an accounting role, make yourself an expert on all the AI accounting tools and best practices, that kind of thing.
Okay. So somebody who's come into Braintrust, so there's tiles here for find your next gig, give and get career help, refer and earn is pretty obvious. So obviously you can find your own gig. When you're talking about giving and getting help, is there kind of a part of your platform where you can sell your services?
Yeah. So there is a kind of a mentorship corner. We call it our Braintrust Professional Network. And you can hop in there, help people with resumes, help people with connections, introductions, help people interview coach. And so you can kind of sell your services, consume other services. And another great use case is our connector program, the refer to earn thing, where you actually, you create an account, you get a unique code, and then you can refer other talent and other clients to Braintrust. And once those parties start transacting, you're going to get a percentage kicked back to you as a referral.
Oh, that's good. Cause we HRISCareers, right? We're always looking for a side hustle. So
this is a perfect side hustle. I mean, you can spend like an hour a week on it and like get a nice little residual going.
That is interesting. All right. Well, let's go from a corporate buyer perspective. You're frustrated. Maybe you're small, medium business, maybe you're enterprise level business, and you're a little bit frustrated either that you're not getting the right candidates or with your applicant tracking system experience. What is the process to engage with Braintrust?
Sure. So the way any size company really would try Braintrust is you contact us and say, and here are the roles we're hiring for. Here are our challenges. You have one of two types of challenges. You either have too much inbound, or you have all these challenges. But you have too much inbound. Your recruiters are overwhelmed. You're getting thousands of applications per role. A lot of it, the candidates have these AI application things where they kind of spam applications. You apply for 1,000 jobs a day. I wouldn't recommend using those. That's not a great idea. You're gonna get spam blocked at some point.
Right.
And so we help you cut through all that clutter. You've installed Braintrust AIR. You can use it standalone. You can integrate it with your ATS. And if you're getting thousands of applications a week, we'll chew through all those. Go interview the 100 or 200 that look like they could be good candidates, and then deliver you the 5, 10, 15 that have actually gone through the interview, have the skills required. And so we're going to cut your 6-week hiring process with your poor overwhelmed recruiters down to 24 hours. You're going to get things back to manageable, and you're going to find talent that would have been missed in the current way of doing things. The second piece is, we have these roles posted, but we're not getting applicants, so we need to outbound. But we don't have enough people to call, email, message on LinkedIn, the outbound motion. So AIR can also do that. We just launched this feature where you can feed in lists of contacts, or we can help source for you, and we'll do all the outbound. And so we'll outbound, this is how we do in the nurse staffing business. We'll text or email a list of nurses and say, hey, there's an opportunity for you. Text back, yes, I'm interested if you want to hear more. And then AIR will call that nurse and have a 10, 15-minute qualification call with him or her, and then hand back the recruiter, hey, the 1,000 people we outbounded to, here's the 12 that are interested and pre-qualified and ready to go. So AIR will help you by orders of magnitude save time on both your inbound problem and your outbound problem.
So it is even going as far as doing, I call it voice-enabled screening.
You got it.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting. Now, nursing, I don't know, because nurses can pick their, that is definitely a hard market to crack. A very in-demand service. That is extremely interesting. So what do you find are the biggest challenges for, let's say somebody's coming from, let's say maybe they're using Greenhouse or iSIMS. I'll call those more of a mid-tier platform, or maybe you go to a Workday or Oracle recruiting cloud. What are their biggest challenges? Why are they coming to you to help solve their problems?
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges we hear is that they aren't able to search prior applicants. So let's say, say you post a job last month, you got 1,000 applicants, maybe you hired one, and now you're going to post kind of the same job next month. You want to be able to get that prior list of people engaged. But a lot of these ATSs don't do that for some reason. And so you're recycling, you got a whole new list of people. And it's just a lot and if you have a person managing all this, not an AI, it's absolutely overwhelming. And so we built the functionality. So once you plug Braintrust AIR in, we're keeping track of all the applicants over the history of the lifetime of your engagement with us. And so if we see prior applicants that would have been good matches, our system will just reach out to them and say, hey, this posted, looks like it could be interesting to you. Click here to do the live interview with our AI.
So doing all this outreach through email, or maybe you have text functionality or voice. You talked about it, getting kind of marked as spam. How do you work around that? Is that something where you're having somebody? I just had to do this for our systems. Put in the DKIM records and the SPF records and all these things, and the emails are going out from the client's host.
We actually
email account, or
no, we send it all for you, and it's not we're not getting marked as spam. What I was saying is, people who apply for 1,000 jobs a day, they're getting marked as spam, right? It's you can't.
Okay.
Candidates are doing this thing where they flood the zone, and it turns the ATS into a box of spam, right? So we're
Right.
helping. We're almost like the spam filter for the ATS, if you could think of it that way.
Okay. So you haven't run into issues where, because you have so much outbound email going out, that the Googles of the world and people that are managing the exchanges think that what's coming out from you guys
No,
is
I mean we're very like careful with using people that have opted into us or opted into our clients.
right.
Right. So like if you've applied for a job, you've opted in to get email from that client or us on behalf of that client. So yeah, we're not like spamming random lists of people though.
Right. And what turned your attention to this problem? So going back maybe to 2018, 19, what was it? Was there a trigger point? Is there a conversation that you had with an HR leader or recruiting person? Like, what alerted you to, oh, this is another, marketplace that needs help?
Yeah, I mean, but the like progression of what we've done with this company is crazy. It's in 2018, 19, 2020, the big complaint was, hey, we're Nestle or Nike or Bank of America. We're not a tech company, but we need to act like one, right? We need to hire as many engineers as a tech company, designers and UX people and product managers. But like we're finding it hard to compete with Google, Meta, et cetera. So can you help us source great enterprise grade tech talent? So that's where Braintrust started, is fixing. There was a supply problem for a lot of demand. And then when we started as remote first, and back then, if you could even imagine this, like you remember before COVID, it's like, companies wanted engineers to come to their office in St. Louis or Detroit or Columbus or whatever. It's just
Right.
hard to get, there's not a lot of tech people in those markets, right? And so we taught large companies that like you can manage remote engineering resources, and we'll show you how. I mean, we're a remote first company. We've never had an office. We use engineers all over the world, talent on our platform. And then 2020, obviously, COVID made remote the new normal, and that's why we grew so fast. We were the remote first to engineering talent platform. And then the economy flipped when rates went up 5% in 9 months, and it put a parking brake on hiring. And God, I remember at one point in 2022, like 80% of our clients were on hiring freeze. Well, this is no good, right?
Right.
So
No.
it sucks to be a talent marketplace when nobody's hiring. And so that's when we sort of pivoted into building all these AI tools, which culminated in Braintrust AIR.
So I may interject some screen recording separately to show some folks that are listening. If you want to go over to YouTube to see some of the functionality, at least as I'm looking around my account. So I went in, decided to redo my account. I had some fresh. I'm a freshly minted project management professional. I wanted to add some things to my resume. What are the things that would make you stand out in your database? Are there hooks? Are there things, if somebody hasn't filled out a certain part of their profile, are you ignoring them and not surfacing them? Is there anything that if somebody comes in as an applicant, they should know?
Yeah, a great question. So definitely the more complete profile you have, the more likely you are to get a higher mass score. And again, this is all automated at this point, right?
Right.
So, it's applying for a job. If you have a profile that is complete, that has a high match score with the job description, you're gonna get an interview with AIR, assuming AIR is part of the workflow. Now, you don't have to use
Right.
AIR with your client. You can still have your human recruiting team. But if AIR is handling the process, and you look like a reasonably good match, you're gonna get an interview. So definitely, making a complete profile is helpful.
So where do you land on the argument that, oh, we can't let the AI do all that screening because there is room for bias. There is room for, and I get it. There's certainly room for bias with humans.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, do you get those objections from companies thinking about using AIR, or people have kind of passed that at this
No,
point?
we're not past that, and nor should we be. It's one of the first things we realized would be important before we would start building AIR. And so we built the technology specifically to ignore things like age, ethnicity, demographics, when possible, location, during the interview, accent is not part of the, so if it's English as your second language, like you're speaking with an accent, the AI is actually really good at understanding people with accents, but that's not part of the input for grading.
Right.
Right. And so this was all obvious to us, but when we started selling, we heard it over and over, like, well, how do we know that this thing isn't being biased? So like, look, there's only one way to solve this. We hired a third party tech auditor to run through actual, like they're fake resumes, but they're like, they have all the same skills, but different names, different ethnicities, implied different ages, based on experience, you kind of tell how old someone might be. And so we, took the exact same skill sets and then just changed all the demographics and then ran them through the AIR process. And it scored perfectly. It was like every single person who had the right qualifications got the same match score, regardless of their ethnicity, demographics, et cetera. So we have that third party kind of full audit based on bias testing and compliance. And so we published it. It's part of our kind of sales package.
Eventually, there's going to be a court case, right? It'll be very interesting to see how this all shakes out over the next 7-10 years. So we usually do something that's a little more fun, what we call the lightning round. And they're usually fun, fast questions. I'm going to ask the questions rapidly. Your responses do not. If you're uncomfortable with any of these questions, just say pass. You do not have to.
I'll do better.
Yes.
One.
So this is just going to presume that you might have drank alcohol at some point when you went to Vanderbilt. A favorite bar or haunt around the campus that maybe still be there that I should visit next time I'm in town.
Yeah. So I haven't been there in a very long time, but to my knowledge, this place is still there. The San Antonio Taco Company, Satco.
All right.
Right on the edge of campus. Amazing Mexican food.
Well, I just remember walking and I don't know what edge of campus it was, but there were a lot of what looked like converted houses that looked like little bars and restaurants and things like that. And I was like, this is it's too good. It's too good of a campus. All right. We'll call that question number one. Number two. What was your biggest surprise about launching? Was there anything that you expected going in that once you got in there completely changed the way you thought about things? What was the biggest surprise?
Yeah. I mean, when you launch a startup, everything is kind of a surprise, and you have your ability to survive is based on how quickly you can adapt to customer needs, these surprises. I think one of my biggest surprises early on was like how quickly we were able to grow the talent base. Like we spent no money on acquiring talent. It was just all like referral rewards and community building and people just kind of getting behind this, like, hey, our disruptive tactic was we were a very low fee marketplace. We took no fees from the talent side, 10% from client. It's up to 15% from client now. But that was something like a fresh new idea, and it grew really, really quickly in the early years. That was kind of a pleasant surprise.
That's great. I'll just do a commercial for HRIS Careers, which does have a job board component. Certainly a much smaller and niche community, but I certainly know the challenge. But I have found that I was surprised also how quickly you put out, and we don't charge either sides at this point, unless somebody wants to volunteer to pay. We would certainly take the money.
3.
What was the kind of first tech gadget that you might have been obsessed with? Maybe it was something when you were growing up, or something that kind of started turning your attention to computers. And
yeah, I mean, it was an actual computer. I'll date myself here, of course, but it was so like the early 90s, 91, 92, I was probably 10 or 11. The Intel 8086 processor that was kind of the first PC. And so my first PC was a 8086, had no hard drive, 2 floppy drives, DOS 1.0. I just fell in love. I was obsessed. I started programming BASIC and, was taking the thing apart at night. So my parents didn't see me doing it and put it back together. But yeah, I was in love from the first PC.
I think you're about 10 years behind me. That because as you were exploring that, I was getting actually my first PC put on my desk at work. Like it seems so strange now that you would actually start a job and not have a computer, but that's how it started. Back when I was an intern in 1994. I'm going to call this the last question.
4,
So you've had a varied career, and you've been into blockchain. It sounds like you've dabbled a little bit in vineyards. You live there in, did you say Napa Valley?
Yeah,
or
Napa.
Sonoma? So which is harder to manage? Blockchain assets, a vineyard, or
Definitely a tech startup, but far and away. I do very little vineyard management myself, and blockchain assets, you just kind of buy them and set it and forget it is my my strategy.
that is a good philosophy. You know what? I'm going to do one more.
5,
So is there any like current, let's say, technology gadget, maybe it's an app on your phone, something that you couldn't live without, something that you're using every day, that you might be a nice productivity tool for others?
Yeah, man, there's so many things sadly that I couldn't live without every day on my phone. But look, I think using Chat GPT O1 Pro with deep research enabled is a real game changer. This is the one you got to upgrade to their $200 a month thing, but it's so worth it. Like I'll have research tasks. It could be like if you're doing analysis on real estate, you want to buy something and have it do a deep comparison that you normally take a realtor a month if you could even get them to do it. Deep research would do it in half an hour. If you're looking at making a large purchase like a vehicle or something, this thing will do all the research and comparison for you. If you want to do competitive analysis, I mean, it's like having a full-time like MBA that works for you for like $200 a month. It's a phenomenal technology.
Yeah, I think I got, my, what would be considered like ChatGPT Plus account almost as soon as it was available. And and I don't have the 200 account, I still have the same ChatGPT, I think they call it Plus. But either they've let me into the deep research module by accident, or there might be some sort of like limited level. Unbelievable. I mean, just the difference in 18 months. Because even 18 months ago, I said, this is just not going to change the world. I mean, it's great, but it's not going to, change the world. Now, just so much more reliable. Now, this is really geeking out, but there was a big acquisition in my space with IBM buying a consulting company. And I was interested in, well, what did they pay for it? And so I got in a little deep into it. It was smart enough to go get the, what's it called, the Q10 filing. I could ask questions about the Q10, and we were able to, even though it wasn't specifically carved out, we were able to figure out that, at the end of the day, they paid between 700 and 1.1 billion. And I was like, that's unbelievable that in a 7-minute conversation, we were able to, get that figured out.
It's a game. That's to me the first game changer in kind of consumer facing AI. The early stuff like write me a poem in so-and-so's voice, like who cares? And all this like help me cheat on my homework stuff, whatever. But like what we're talking about here, that's a game changer.
All right. Adam, hey, being on the show, I'm pretty excited, honestly, to go out to Braintrust myself and explore more. Like I said, I updated my own profile, but I'm definitely going to explore more this refer and earn, build out my profile a little bit more, and then, obviously explore more talking to, my potential clients about how this can help their business. So I certainly appreciate you being on the show. Is there anything in particular that you'd want to leave people with about Braintrust?
Yeah, no, I would say like, there's a general, we talk to job recruiters, HR professionals every day. There's this sort of general fear about like AI is going to take my job, something like that. I really don't see it that way. I see it as like the repetitive, boring, and error-prone parts of HR, like the constant risk looking at resumes and screening thousands of people. Let AI do that part and let you, the human, take over and be great at finding good culture fits, help guiding people through their careers, really adding value to the company. like AI is going to take the repetitive stuff that you don't want to do and you're probably not as good at, and like let people focus on other people. And that's to me, like, we're having this conversation multiple times a day now with our clients and their HR groups. And that's like to the takeaway to me, like this is not like a thing to be feared.
Absolutely. And one thing I forgot to talk about, and I should, we ask almost anybody who's on the call, what at Braintrust, what type of skill sets are you having a hard time finding? Do you have any roles that are hard to fill at this point? Obviously, you're just a running company in general, but I guess if I'm going to guess that because you're kind of in the HR business, somebody with an HR background or HRIS background at some there might be some opportunities available with Braintrust. Are there anything that you're currently looking for in sales or customer service, product development?
Yeah, definitely sales. So, we're selling a, enterprise grade AI talent solution, and always looking for, great enterprise salespeople that can help with that.
Awesome. There you go. Well, again, Adam, we certainly appreciate you being on the show for the HRIS Careers community. We'll talk to you all later.
Thanks, Troy. Thanks for having me.